This is the CompuSports Radio Network.
Welcome to Coach's Corner. I'm John Anderson, and today we have a special treat. It's a road trip. This week we're in Candler, North Carolina, and we're talking with Coach Manny Mastakis, the head coach at Enka High School, the home of the Jets. And this week, Coach Matsakis walks us through the run-and-shoot offense, his version that he calls the triple shoot. Tossing the ball around with Coach Manny Mastakis, live from Enka High School in Candler, North Carolina.
Track your entire equipment and clothing inventory in real time with Athletic Equipment Manager. You'll know where it is and who has it. Quickly add or adjust inventory levels. A tag system assigns and tracks each piece. Look up the status of single items or groups of items. Assemble and print reports for each athlete or entire teams, any sport. And it works in single and multi-user mode. Even on your laptop, Athletic Equipment Manager puts you in control. Download it today and try it for free from CompuSports.
This segment of Coach's Corner is sponsored by CompuSports, publisher of Athletic Equipment Manager software, the affordable sports inventory software that starts at just $199, available at CompuSports.com. As promised, folks, we are in Candler, North Carolina at Enka High School, the home of the Jets. And with us today, we have head coach Manny Mastakis. Coach, welcome to Coach's Corner.
Thanks, John. It's my pleasure.
A little bit about yourself here. I mean, you have been in some extraordinary places. Of course, we did a search. I've got notes. You coached with Joe Girardi, Bill Snyder, Mike Leach, and several others of note, I'm sure. So give us a little rundown on Manny Mastakis.
I started out coaching high school football in Barberton, Ohio. That was my first coaching job, and I had run around a little bit and in the NFL and the USFL as a player. And after that was over, got into coaching, taught biology and all that for a year at Barberton. And it was sort of a neat place, special, big-time football for Ohio. The teams would play like our Massillon and Canton McKinley and those types of schools. So good program, and I was fortunate. The guy that hired me there, Don Alt, had been the former head coach at Slippery Rock College. And so he was, all long career college coach. So he got me thinking a little differently at the high school level. And I was there 1 year, and next thing you know, I was coaching in the Big 8. I went right to Kansas State. Started out there. On my first staff I was ever on there, we lost every game.
Wow.
And our head coach gets fired. And so I'm sitting there looking for a job, thinking, what am I going to do? And then later, Coach Snyder interviewed me and decided to keep me. And I was very fortunate. And he's my top mentor of all the things I've gotten involved with as far as how to lead and be a head coach and those types of things. So fortunate we turned that program around, and it was quite an event because it was really in bad shape. And from there, I left Kansas State opportunity to be an offensive coordinator at Hofstra University in New York. And Joe Girardi was out there, our head coach, and he had been a former NFL defensive coordinator for the New York Jets. I mean, he was a D.C. when they had the sack exchange with Klecko and Gastineau and all those guys. So I'm thinking, wow, what a great opportunity. I mean, I learned a lot from Coach Snyder, get a chance to see a guy that's been at the highest level. So I go out there, and he didn't want to interview me. He was run and shoot is what he wanted. I happen to know Mouse Davis. I got Mouse to make a call. One thing leads to another, and I said, look, I'll pay for my own trip to New York, from Manhattan, Kansas to New York, and just interview me. He already had a guy he was going to hire. And lo and behold, I come out there, and within 4 or 5 hours into my interview, had this big presentation for him on how I wanted to run the run and shoot, and he hires me right there. And then everything started from there. I started out run and shoot oriented. Went back to K-State again as a coordinator, this time special teams coordinator, tight end coach with Coach Snyder. We were playing a bowl game out in Hawaii that year, and then I was offered a chance to be a head coach at Emporia State University. And at Emporia State, we turned things around pretty quick, had a top 10 team in the nation, top offense in the country. It was interesting. We were like one of the top in passing and rushing and scoring, so it was all pretty good, and we had records that are still to this day there. I mean, we had 3 guys, our super back and our 2 inside receivers in their career playing together over 15,000 yards from scrimmage. Yeah, it's crazy. So, I mean, it's that can, I don't know if that can be broken, but Brian Shea, our super back, when he finished playing, he was the all-time leading rusher in college football history out of a run and shoot set. You know, so he rushed for 2,000 yards, I think almost 3 years in a row. And then after that, I had an opportunity to go to University of Wyoming. They were just entering the Mountain West Conference. A guy that I had been a GA with at K-State was the head coach. He needed help. We came out and basically turned around from worst to first. We beat BYU, Utah, and Air Force that year. In fact, my first game at Wyoming, we played up here in Knoxville. We played Tennessee and did a pretty good job against. They didn't expect us to do what we did. That we lost the game. It was the year after they won the national title. So it was we got things going. Dana leaves and goes to University of Houston. But a week prior to that, I went with Mike Leach to Texas Tech to be his assistant head coach. Did that for 3 years, went to 3 big bowl games, and really had a good time. Mike's one of my best friends in the business, and enjoyed being around Mike. And then after that, I was the head coach at Texas State University, which is down in San Marcos, Texas. And it was fun. Enjoyed it. I mean, we packed our stadium, and we had like number 8 offense in the nation. Had a good group of guys there. Sort of crazy deal. Went down there. We got let go right before the signing date for some things that were happening in the administration at the time. One thing leads to another. I get out of coaching. I get back into publishing football magazines, which a few years back I had started American Football Quarterly, which today is American Football Monthly. I started in the basement of my house. And it's a national journal. Got to know a lot of people that way. I mean, we were talking before. Bill Walsh actually worked for my company when he had retired as our senior editor, technical consultant. Enjoyed being around him quite a bit. And then missed coaching. After a few years, I did that for about 4 years. Got into publishing up in Ohio and West Virginia. Published college and pro and high school football magazines. Went to my alma mater as the offensive coordinator, which is Capital University in Columbus, Ohio, Division III school. Went there basically to mentor. There was a new head coach, mentor somebody to be an offensive coordinator. So I went as the OC, taught them my offense, and they knew at some point I'd be leaving. And I had a chance to go to the Canadian Football League as a guest coach. And I said, well, wow, I've always wanted to do that. And I had a friend, Mike Kelly, who, I really respected, and he was the head coach at Winnipeg. He says, come on up. I want to show you how they play this game on a bigger field, multiple guys in motion, and shoot 12 on 12. But I think you'll love it. He says somebody creative and all that, you might turn on to this.
Organized chaos at its best.
Yeah, and I figure why not? It was neat because at Capital I had the summers off, and I was fortunate. You just go up there. You're a guest coach among some other good guys, and what happened, it was, I guess, fortuitous in some ways, but it was sort of crazy because at the time, the running backs coach did not show up for training camp because he was sick. I mean, he was really sick. He had some problems, some health problems, so he had to stay in Florida. And Mike goes, hey, coach the running backs. Oh, great, no problem. So I just get in and start coaching. So I've got the running backs through training camp. So it's 2-3 weeks into this, and I'm like, just learning the game. I had never even seen a CFL game. So, now I'm like, I've got all this stuff, and I'm picking up this offense, which wasn't my offense. I was just coaching a position.
They like them 20-yard deep end zones.
Oh, that's sweet. They're great in the red zone. I mean, I love them. I mean, there's some neat things that I'll try to, talk you through some of the things that we did because it was pretty interesting. So we get going, and it's our last preseason game. All the other guest coaches are gone. I've got to coach a position, so I say, I'll stay on. We're waiting for the running back coach to come back. Well, he comes back, and he's in the football complex up there. He's got IVs in him. I mean, he looks like death warmed over. It's bad, you know. And Mike, you know, to his credit, you know, he says this guy's, even though he was a good friend of his, he goes, you can't coach like this. In the pros, he wouldn't have passed the physical, and coaches have to pass the physical because you're working for a private organization, you know. And so he sends him back, and before he goes, you want this job? I go, geez, and I felt bad because I was going to put Capital University on alert. You know, it'd be a tough deal. I called up my coach back there, Jim Bickle, good guy. As I explained to him, I did not expect this to happen. But I think I'd like to take this opportunity, and I've got a guy who was working with me, Henry Stanford at the time, who is now the head coach at Capital, which is really neat, you know, that we're able to work together and do some things. And so I stayed there. We start off through the season, and it was interesting. I mean, we were old school CFL, and Mike had NFL background with the Redskins and the Eagles and all that. And we get to about mid-season, and you know, it's starting to work out where Charlie Carpenter, our offensive line coach, and I were really starting to click together. And, you know, Charlie went into Mike, and it was sort of a consensus. He says, look, why don't you let Manny work with the offense a little more and let you be a head coach, which is usually how it works. And, you know, Mike he was in everything. I don't know how he did it, to be honest. It was just a lot going on to be the head of a professional football team and still be involved in the offense and everything else.
We're at Enka High School in Candler, North Carolina. I'm talking with Coach Manny Mastakis, the head coach, and we'll be right back after this segment. We're going to pick this up right after this. Some of you folks are aware of OptionCentral.net. Some of you may even have had a membership to OptionCentral.net at one time. What many folks don't know is that Option Central has become the premier site for all things option football, with contributions from coaches from Massachusetts to California, from coaches like Joe Sells, Mark Snow, Jerry Campbell, Steve Ellison, Don Herman, and many others. Option Central is the place to learn many of the concepts that can help you with ideas for offensive success. And anyone who has heard this program for any length of time knows that I give defensive guys a hard time. But there are even a few articles that they can benefit from as well. There are even videos up there too. OptionCentral.net. I'm there, and you should be too.
This is the CompuSports Radio Network.
Mr. Anderson.
This segment is brought to you by Option Central. OptionCentral.net. Everything option in one convenient place. We're in Candler, North Carolina at Enka High School talking with Coach Manny Mastakis. Coach, you were talking about you were up in the CFL.
Yeah.
You were starting the season up there in Canada. Let's go ahead and pick up there.
Well, I'm a guest coach. All of a sudden, I become named the running backs coach. Mid-season, I basically take over the offense, and Mike Kelly names me, you know, you're going to run this show, and I start working with the staff, and we start to morph in the triple shoot offense into Canadian football. And it was sort of neat because Mike was always really good about being open about things. And so we'd started doing some things, and we'd run some jet motion and snap the ball and get the ball around the edge, which we were sort of known for in a triple shoot. And so, you know, the neat thing about in Canada is you can have like 6 guys going motion at the same time. You can go waggle and forward motion and side motion and all that kind of stuff. And we got to going, and we're playing mid-season up in Vancouver, British Columbia, against the BC Lions. And they were really good. We're playing this dome. And we come out, and that day was historic. I mean, Mike's I'm in the press box, Mike's on the field, and he starts getting a deal wanting to call these plays that we had put in with the triple shoot, primarily this run package where we had two backs in the backfield, and they were both attacking the line of scrimmage as the ball was being snapped. Another inside receiver running across in jet motion, and we had everybody going every way they could go. And lo and behold, at the end of the day, Fred Reed, our running back, ends up breaking the Blue Bombers' record for rushing in a game, and both our backs had over 10 yards per attempt. And it was, in many ways, historical, for the club.
And the defensive coordinator for BC, I'm sure, was attacking every pizza guy and everybody within arm reach, I'm sure, at that point.
Well, it's crazy how it works. He's now the head coach, so I don't know. It worked out pretty good for him, though. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. And, so that's how we got things going up in the Canadian League. And I was fortunate at that point. We had acquired Michael Bishop, who, I don't know if you recall, I
remember Michael Bishop.
Yeah, Kansas State, my background at K-State, and knowing how good of a football player he is. And we brought him in, and he really helped us win a bunch of games the second half of the season. So everything is good. All set. I'd signed my contract as the offensive coordinator after the season. We were all excited about making things happen. And I get married right after that in Columbus, Ohio. My wife Lizzie and I were all excited to go back to Winnipeg in the off season. And what we had done is we had rented a cabin in Candler.
Folks, you need to pay attention to this part of the interview. This is where it gets interesting.
Well, I had spent a little bit of time here because my children were down here. My daughter Meredith and my son Michael were going to school down here in Asheville. So we rented a cabin, and I did this when I was in Canada. I just got on Craigslist, looked like where can I want to be on a stream, I want to be in the mountains, and there's Candler, and that's where I'm going to get this little log cabin. So we rent the cabin for basically 5 months because I wasn't going to have to go back up to Canada till like May. That was the plan. So while all this is going on, we had already paid for the cabin, and just prior to coming down, there was a change in leadership of the Blue Bombers. So I'm like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Well, we already paid for this cabin. Don't have a job right now, but we're going to go down here, and I'm going to enjoy, Western North Carolina.
Get you a fly rod?
Yeah, I loved it. It was, and in that winter we had a lot more snow than we do now. We didn't have hardly anything this year, but it was great. So I'm loving it, enjoying it. But I'm missing football, and at the time I didn't have a job, so I'm like, geez, what am I going to do? So I go down to a local high school over here, Asheville High, where my daughter was at the school, and I introduced myself to the coaches down there and everything, and one of them says, where are you staying? Oh, well, it's a little town called Candler, just outside of town here. And he goes, oh, hey, the other day, their head coach just left to be a offensive coordinator in Tennessee at some 1AA school. I go, really? That's pretty neat. What's the place like? He goes, well, it's pretty. And that's all he said. I had no idea at the time. And I go, well, I'm going to take a trip up there. And so I leave Asheville High. I walk in. It happened to be a teacher work day where they were all over the place. So no students in the parking lot. And I walk in, introduce myself to the principal at the time, and I said, hey, look, I want to be your next football coach. And he didn't know me. Nothing. I didn't have a resume on me. I just said, let's just strike while I just heard about it. Let's go in. And they were already in the process, unbeknownst to me, about this. So I said, I gave my name. He Googles me, just like you did, and then he's like looking. He's like, "Are you serious?" What? He thought it was some kind of joke.
Well, see, I understand where he's coming from because I'm familiar with Enka High School in their past. Very good basketball school, very good wrestling school, very good soccer school. Not had a lot of luck in years past in the realm of football.
Yeah. So, and that's fine. For me, it wasn't a make or break deal that I had to do anything other than I wanted to be here with my kids. And I thought, well, this would be a nice, I don't want to say sabbatical, but just a nice foray into seeing how high school football was. And it's very different. I mean, everywhere I've been very fortunate. We won at the highest level, but, I could recruit. You know what I mean? When I was at Hofstra, I could recruit Wayne Crabett, and Wayne played for me. When I was at Texas Tech, we recruited Wes Welker, he played for us, and a whole bunch of guys. At high school, you got what you got, but the experience is tremendous. I mean, I honestly have to say, I mean, I love the community, the kids. They're fun to be around. They probably think I'm a little out there sometimes because I'm doing things that seem to be out of the box for most high schools. Heavy promotion. I mean, we pack our stadium. I mean, you know, we've been fortunate. Our offense has done extremely well. I think our defense is a couple years behind, but it's about ready to have a little breakout. So it takes some time to teach these guys how to get better. So you come to our games, and it's sold out. I mean, we fill our whole side. And
it's a madhouse.
Oh, it's crazy. And it's fun. That's the thing I enjoy the most about it. So, you know, everything leads to another. I'm the head coach at Enka High School. My buddies, guys that I've coached with everywhere from, you know, a former assistant of mine is with the Denver Broncos right now, and talked the other day, and it's like you talk to him, and you talk to all these other guys you know that you've coached with, and yeah, they all sort of like they're testing you, like you really like that deal, and I love it, I really do. I mean, I'm enjoying it, and I get to be with my children, and my wife Lizzie and I were having a baby in June. We're having a boy.
Oh, congratulations!
Well, thank you.
We're at Enka High School here in Candler, North Carolina. If you folks want to check out the website, it's enkajetsfootball.com. That's ENKA jetsfootball.com. Gives you a little bit of insight into Coach Matsakis' new world down here. We'll be right back here on Coach's Corner on the CompuSports Radio Network.
Improve your coaching this season with Easy Scout Professional from CompuSports. Affordable and easy to use, Easy Scout Professional lets you watch game video on your computer as you categorize offense, defense, and special teams plays. Find and review individual plays. Then pause, restart, rewind, and even watch frame by frame for fast and detailed video analysis. Scout your opponent or your own team. Identify tendencies, evaluate players and teams, and mark plays to include in cut-ups and highlights. Print tendency reports and copy cut-ups to CD, DVD, or memory stick and upload to sharing sites like YouTube. Easy Scout Pro is compatible with Windows 7, Vista, and XP and does not require an internet connection. Download the 21-day free trial now and discover how easy and affordable it can be to work with digital video today.
This segment of Coach's Corner is sponsored by CompuSports, publisher of the Easy Scout Professional, an affordable all-in-one football scouting and editing program. Easy Scout Professional, available at CompuSports.com.
From Candler, North Carolina, we're at Enka High School with Coach Manny Mastakis, and he's going to be the explanations of his triple shoot. By the way, Coach, I've got a player you might want to take a look at. She runs the 40 in about 3.1.
Okay.
The only problem is she plays fullback. Great pad level, great explosion, but the horns might be a problem. She's a goat. Do you need a fullback?
Absolutely. I don't think so. Fullbacks don't work with that.
That's our program mascot, Daisy the Goat, who, by the way, folks, she's on Facebook. And when I put her on there from our music show, for many of you folks are familiar with from years past when we were syndicated in 5 countries, she was the show mascot. And when I put up there, make sure you friend the Goat, she had twice as many friends as I did for a while.
Surprise. I love it.
We'll have to bring Daisy down here one day and let you see her run.
Fit in great down there.
Big goat. Oh, man, is she huge. Coach, let's go ahead and talk about your triple shoot.
Well, it's an interesting story in many ways. There's a few influences in all types of offenses you see out there. I mean, to the point where sometimes I would get phone calls in the last few years from friends saying, hey, are you watching Oregon? I go, well, I hadn't watched much, you know. He says, well, you need to turn this on. He goes, they're running your offense just out of the shotgun. I go, really? So I start watching. I was like, that's pretty neat. And we've been able to, like any offense, evolve some things. Initially, in my first coaching job, I was coached a wing T in high school, and learned a lot about it. And then I started getting into the run and shoot. And the run and shoot, I was just fascinated. At the time, was in the heyday of the run and shoot when John Jenkins was down at University of Houston. And that's when I was coaching at Kansas State at the time. So I had all their film. You know, I would somehow you beg, borrow, steal, whatever film you could get. And what was sort of neat is I just decided that I was going to just study this stuff to the extent where I was working on my PhD, and my doctoral dissertation topic became the history and evolution of the run and shoot offense in American football. So that's where my roots really got going, and I got to meet some great people in the process, Miles Davis being one of them, and it was really special because, you know, a lot of people know who Miles Davis is in the coaching profession, but not everybody knows the first guy I really talked to about this is a guy named Tiger Ellison. All right, and Tiger Ellison was a high school football coach in Middletown, Ohio, who actually in 1954 invented the run and shoot offense.
It's true.
Yeah. So when I was at Kansas State working on my paper, he was living in Center City, Florida, and I did some interviews with him. And recorded him, talked to him, and he had sent me some old film, celluloid, beyond like even what my dad's old
9mm.
Yeah, it's just tiny stuff, you know, and it should be in the archives in some Hall of Fame somewhere. But he ends up being, amazing coach. Woody Hayes hired him at Ohio State. In fact, the year the Buckeyes won the national championship and beat Southern Cal and O.J. Simpson, 3 of the touchdowns they scored were run-and-shoot plays. A lot of people don't realize that about Woody Hayes. He was running some plays in the run-and-shoot. So that's where all this deal starts for me. I'm fortunate enough, as we talked before, I go to Hofstra, install my version of the run-and-shoot. And it was wide open, and I think my first year there, we led the nation in passing offense. We averaged 405 yards per game passing, and we had a 1,000-yard rusher in there as well. So we lit it up, and we were on the East Coast, and people were pretty excited about what we were doing. Then, after being out there for 3 years, and I had some good players. I mean, I had 3 guys go to the National Football League from Hofstra, end up starting for 7-8 years. And I'm back as the head coach at Emporia State, and I'm running this run-and-shoot offense. In the first year, it's very similar to what we're doing at Hofstra. We're very pass-oriented, option routes, and running the basic slide, go, choice, switch, those types of routes. And the run game was pretty much just draws and occasional traps here and there, just nothing monumental, but it was enough to still get you that 1,000-yard rusher. One day in spring ball, I've got this little running back. That guy's going to be special. And I'm in spring ball, and I'm trying to think, what can I do? And I'm recruiting because I got to get him the ball. I'm a run and shoot. Now when you're the head coach, it's not so much the yards and all that. It's like you got to be able to run the football to give your defense a break. So I'm in Long Island recruiting, and I have this book here, and I'm in Freeport High School, and this coach out there who's been running my offense for, 20 years, Russ Sellen. I mean, for a long time. I installed it when I was at Hofstra. He goes, look, I've been saving this book for you. They were going to throw it away in the library, and I want you to have it. I go, thank you, I appreciate it. It's called Spread Formation Football by Dutch Meyer. He used to be the head coach at TCU. And it's sort of neat. I started looking at history. I thought it'd be sort of fun because you can look in here. Here's Dutch Meyer, and he's got Sammy Baugh and Davey O'Brien in here. And I start leafing through, and then what I'm showing
They were running spread stuff back in those days.
Right. Wide open. Yeah, and this was around the run-and-shoot time. So I'm looking at this, and I see this little deal where, here's Sammy Baugh. This guy's coming in motion, this receiver, and he does like a spinner series, basically, from the single wing. So at that point, and nobody was really doing this, I put the quarterback under the center, did the same thing, And now they call it the jet sweep or the fly and all this stuff. But we would hit this thing so fast, unlike many other people did, and then the back would be flying through, and all our blocking principles were triple option blocking principles, but we never ran the option. We were veer blocking and zone blocking, and we were hitting this thing, and our little running back, who ended up playing in the NFL, he had over 2,000 yards 3 years in a row. Almost 7,000 yards in college, running this version of the run and shoot, which became the triple shoot. So we decided at that point that the triple shoot was a balance between run and pass at will, because there were days at the University of Wyoming we played Air Force and we outrushed the Air Force Academy. I can remember
that takes some doing.
Yeah, and they at the time they had the nation's longest winning streak. That's when Fisher and those guys, they had it really going. Mm-hmm. So we had outrushed them, and we're driving back to Laramie. I'm listening to the radio, and DeVary's like, I don't know what just happened. How did Wyoming do this? We thought they were a run and shoot team. Well, we ran all over them, and it was a lot of fun for our guys to get involved in this offense. And I've got coaches all over the country that run versions of this offense.
What was that running back's name, by the way?
Brian Shea.
Brian Shea.
Yeah, he won the Harlan Hill Award, which goes to basically the Heisman for Division II football.
We're in Candler, North Carolina, talking with Coach Manny Mastakis. More after this. Coaches helping coaches. We have all heard this is the message behind Jerry Campbell Football. Now, Coach Campbell has upgraded his website to make it easier for you to navigate and find material you need quickly to become a more effective and knowledgeable coach. Jerry Campbell Football has books and DVDs available, whether it be offense, defense, resume preparation, the kicking game, or PowerPoint training. Jerry Campbell Football has what you need to build your knowledge base. Whether from using a traditional approach to cutting-edge technology, you can enhance your knowledge in nearly any area. All this and more at www.jerrycampbellfootball.com. That's www.jerrycampbellfootball.com.
Wake up this morning, I'm excited to see what the good Lord has planned for me. Will I see her first? Will I win my race? Keep up with the pace.
This segment of Coach's Corner is brought to you by Jerry Campbell Football. Make sure you check out that hot message board they've got up there at www.jerrycampbellfootball.com. We're talking with Coach Manny Mastakis, the head coach of the Enka HS football program down here in Candler, North Carolina. Coach, let's get into a little bit more about your triple shoot here. You were talking about installing that here, and really that's very similar, if you think about it, to the principles that Georgia Tech runs out of their pitch. You're trying to get guys out there in front real fast.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Except the running back is not at the depth that pitch back is at, but it's very, very similar.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Paul Johnson and I are friends, and we go way back because one of my best friends who's now passed away is a fellow by the name of Ben Griffith. And Ben was the offensive coordinator at Georgia Southern that invented the offense, and Paul was his GA. Okay. And
wow.
Yeah, so Ben, he was a fantastic guy. He actually worked with me when I was a head coach at Texas State and died in an unfortunate car accident after the season. But that whole offense started with Tracy Ham and Georgia Southern, and Ben Griffith is the one who invented it. And Paul has taken it, done some really good things with it. But anytime we ran into each other at the airport this year on the way to the convention, and we were talking about Ben, so it's sort of, it's funny you bring that up because there are certainly a lot of similarities. Our blocking schemes are similar. I would say the triple shoot is very adept at throwing the football as well as running it. You look at things Paul does. If they get behind, I think there are some issues there. You know, it's tough to get caught up. And what we do, I've always been no huddle, and it's a pretty good tempo, and we throw the ball at will. And it just happens to be we're able to rush the football, because like even here at Enka, and I've got a running back, and I think you were talking about the Pisgah game last year. We played a team just up the road, and it's very talented. And shoot, he had, I don't know, maybe 300 yards on him, rushing the football. And he was a junior. He's back this year. I think he's one of the best running backs in the state of North Carolina. But he's a lot like the little back I had at Emporia State. He's 5'7", 5'8". He's 175 pounds. But the scary thing is he power cleans 315.
And he probably runs the 40 in about 3.6.
He can fly. He can fly, and he's tough. His name, he's one of the best around. His name's Chris Carver, and I think he's a guy that will play certainly at the college level.
Let's talk about the passing game with the triple shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You set monumental records at Emporia State. Mm-hmm. You went from worst to first at Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
You've been a predominantly offensive-minded coach wherever you've been. Is there a particular set of concepts that you hold near and dear, or do you just do whatever you think that will work at the time?
Oh, no, I have definite concepts. I mean, I think from my very first coaching job, I learned one thing, working at the high school level, that systems win. And I really believe that. My first system was the wing T. It was great and all that, but I'm in love, always have been, with the run and shoot, and now what's evolved to the triple shoot. So I believe you have to be able to run and pass the ball at will. And I think when I look at it, like in the run game, we zone block, we trap block, we run counter game off of that. And you see a lot of things that are going on in the game today, and we run a little bit of option, but I don't like to run my quarterback, because, especially after being in the pros, you look at this and you say, these guys get paid the most money. Why are you going to run Peyton Manning? It makes no sense.
Joe Theismann is in definite agreement with you there.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make any sense. You pay the guy to manage the game and throw pinpoint passes and be able to have great fakes and all that in the run game. I mean, that's what, to me, a quarterback is. Now, Paul Johnson would say something different, because that's his system. But in my system, that's how I feel. I want to protect my quarterback, because that's probably the one position there's the biggest drop-off between number 1 and 2 and 3 on your depth chart. Mm-hmm. It's tough, because you can't get that guy enough reps. So I think that's part of it in the run game. And then I think some of the things I learned from being with Mike Leach at Texas Tech is the screen game. Very big on being able to get the ball to the superback and the receivers and create something special in the screen game, because we've always been a very good screen team. Frightening at times. I mean, we do very well at that. And then the pass game, I have it set up where it's the base run and shoot principles and everything we do. Mouse and I, we talked about that. We go way back, so I learned a lot of it initially from him. I've evolved some things. I do some other things that that Leach does. I taught him a few things. He taught me a few things. I get into some mesh routes now where I hadn't really done that before. And I saw, the run and shoot's funny because you're protection, you're always rolling it. So it's not a straight drop back like the air raid. So, when I'm rolling it, there are certain advantages you get because of the roll, and that is the secondary is going to roll in the direction of the quarterback or not, which will give you the advantage no matter what you do. So when I look at the offense, it is a system, and it's based on particular run game, screen game, and pass game. And I think that's what we do. Very multi-formation, but I've actually gotten into more, not just the one-back stuff, doing 2- and 3-back football as well with it.
We're talking with Coach Manny Mastakis, and we're going to get into a little bit of that passing game here when we come back. Stick with us.
All I want is you. All I want is to run into the baby. All I want is to find a love that's true. All I want is my happy ever after, baby. All I want is you. All I want is you.
At CompuSportsMedia.com, our job is to make your job easier and make you a more effective coach. Improve your scouting, game planning, and video analysis with Easy Scout XP Plus and the new Video Scouting edition of Easy Scout Professional. They're powerful, flexible, and affordable, building better game plans for over 25 years. Stretch your dollars with software for scoring and statistics, practice planning, equipment management, and video editing, all from leading publishers and ready for instant download. Improve your defense with ebooks like the highly acclaimed The Master Defense and the 30-Stack Defense, a comprehensive guide to designing and installing a pressure defense. Turbocharge your offense with ebooks from Jerry Campbell, including his latest, Taking the Option Game to the Next Level, and a classic from one of the fathers of option football, Larry Beckish, The Trap Option 40 plus 60 equals option. All the tools you need, priced right, to make this a winning season from CompuSportsMedia.com.
This segment of Coach's Corner is sponsored by CompuSports, distributor of the Playmaker Pro and Coach's Office Playbook software packages available at CompuSports.com. Coach Manny Mastakis is with me. Actually, we are in his place. We're on a road trip here this week at Enka High School in Candler, North Carolina. And if you want to look on a map, Candler is just to the west of Asheville. Where the heck is Asheville? Asheville's about 2.5 hours west of Charlotte, here near the Tennessee state line. So, Coach, let's talk a little bit of passing game. Let's get interesting here. Let's thrill the masses. Your trips package, is this like we see trip packages going on in other teams, or is it?
Well, I look at it this way. One, we're in trips and we're in even. I mean, we run those are our base formations. We'll run motion and sometimes get preset in that. Also, the quarterback is probably, lately I've been like 60% in the gun, 40% under the center. So I bounce back and forth. There are some advantages to being under and quite a few advantages as well as being in the shotgun. What we do is we roll the quarterback even if he's in the gun. It just depends, as far as his stepping pattern, where we're going to put the ball. And then everything in our passing game comes off of the quarterback's stepping pattern. So when you think from a run and shoot perspective, let's say he's under the center and he's rolling to get back to the inside hip of the tackle 6 yards back, which is his launch point. So he's going to the right. So on his 5th step, the receiver would be in their 7th step. It's always +2. So if you look at any scheme in the run and shoot, that's basically, it's always a +2. So on the quarterback's 3rd step, the trigger move is on the 5th step of the receiver. So you can throw things with really good route precision on the quarterback stepping pattern. In the gun, it's a little different because in the gun, 1 step is like 3. You see, so if I'm taking 1 step in the gun and throwing, it's like I took 3 from under the center. And 3 steps is like 5 in the from under the center. So that's what, it's that simple. It's not very difficult to know when you're going to throw the ball. And then we use something called trigger moves, where the receiver at that point will give a head-shoulder fake one way, throw the other, set up the defender so he gets wide open. And generally, that's what we're trying to do in a run-and-shoot pass game. It's all schemes. It's not like we don't number routes or anything like that. We hardly even name the routes. It's like, hey, look, let's run rip, which would be trips to the right, and let's run our go scheme. All right, so protection could be set up as 60 to the right, and so the quarterback's rolling to the right, and then he has what I've evolved to is either a look or a read. So in high school, a lot of time looks are simpler because you're looking at one receiver, then the next. So you'd call it like a progression. And a read would be like I'm reading the strong safety. If his hips turn one way or the other, then I know where I'm going to throw the football based on the scheme I'm executing. So everything is schemed. I can just give my signal is like instantaneous. I just draw like, okay, this is go, and they go, and then we run that scheme. So, or choice, or anything we want to run.
One of the things that had struck me, I was looking at some old USFL film here about a week ago. Found some up on YouTube. And yeah, if you guys will go up on YouTube, you can search it out. There's a plethora of stuff up there from the old USFL. And, of course, in the old USFL, Mouse Davis coached up there. Yeah. And if you look at some of those USFL teams, whether it was the Denver Gold, whether it's the Houston Gamblers, where Jim Kelly was there, and I can't remember who was in the run and shoot in Denver when Mouse Davis was there.
Well, the Mouse was there and then left and set it up, but go ahead.
But there was a particular technique I saw all the quarterbacks run, and I think it was the second step. It's a very elongated step.
Yeah.
And what's the purpose of that elongated step?
It's actually their first step was to get as big of a first step as possible. That's always the way it would work out, and Mouse always liked that. And what it was to set up a rhythm and get him away from the center. And, one of the things about that first step, the more, even later, after I'd gotten into it, I started studying it, even in the West Coast offense, when you look at Joe Montana backing out, his first step, not quite what Warren Moon's would have been with the Oilers, but what you notice is the key to the first step is heel to toe. See, and if you think about it, if you go heel to toe, then you actually gain about a foot, as opposed to taking a step out. If you put your toe down first, you're actually losing ground on the way back to your launch point. Now, you start to say it's a foot difference initially, but then it's like a yard when you get to your launch point, and a yard is a big difference. So, and it also, what was happening was, as you would get, it's called a 90-degree soft roll in run and shoot terms. So that's what the quarterback's doing. So he's opening up, taking the heel toe, and he's going towards the direction that his launch point. It's either inside hip of the tackle to the right or to the left. So if he's going to the right, he opens up his right foot, goes heel toe, and then he starts angling back, and it becomes basically a semicircle as he's going out there. And that's how originally a lot of this stuff started to come through, and you start to look, it's like step one, step two, and the third step was his right foot, and then he was slinging the ball. As his foot would hit the ground, the ball would be gone almost instantaneously at that point. If you got to step 5, rarely were they throwing it on the run on 5. They were setting up and then throwing it. So at any point, the key in the run and shoot passing game is at any point on the roll, the quarterback needs to be able to get rid of the football if it showed up for him to get rid of the ball. So it gives you a really pretty good advantage because you don't know when you're getting rid of the ball. Also helps in the run game. See, a lot of the run game, you're trying to open up in the first 3 steps. I'll never forget, Tiger Ellison told me this. He goes, I always thought that the run and shoot offense should be based on the quarterback stepping pattern, and you want a run or a pass or a screen, no matter what it was, for the first 3 steps, nobody to know what it was. And then it becomes whatever it is at that point. And that makes a lot of sense to me because, if the defense doesn't know what you're doing for 3 steps into the quarterback game, you've got an advantage.
I can remember reading Tiger's book probably 30 years ago when I was out on the left coast. And one of the things that he said, which I thought was very key, is that you always want to get the quarterback to have his shoulders at a point to where he could snap that ball off while he's running. Because I think they measured it somehow as to when he was not, as opposed to when he was getting the ball out and was that much quicker, and the defenses just could not react in time.
No question. And when he would do it, it was a lot of running and throwing. That's what it was. It wasn't so much of a setup. Some of the old films and stuff, he was hitting on his first, third, or fifth step, ball be gone. Mouse he took it a whole different direction, and he was. You call it pass happy or whatever you want, but he was throwing the ball a lot more because the early run and shoot, and a lot of people say early, it's like early history of the run and shoot, was genuinely a 50-50 run-pass offense. Mouse flipped it. He became 80-20 pass run. And now the draws and all these other things started to come into play, and that's just where it evolved with him.
We're talking with Coach Manny Mastakis out here at Enka High School, and we'll be right back with more Coach's Corner on the CompUSA Sports Radio Network.
Easy Cut from CompUSA Sports is a fast and enjoyable way to edit and analyze your game videos. Watch entire games on your computer, then label and index plays with a click of a mouse. Copy scenes to CD, DVD, or a memory stick, and upload to online video sharing sites like YouTube. Search and sort plays by keywords. Then pause, restart, rewind, and even watch frame by frame for fast and detailed video analysis. Easy Cut is compatible with XP, Vista, and Windows 7. Download the 21-day free trial now or order on CD and discover how easy it is to start analyzing your game videos today.
This segment of Coach's Corner is sponsored by CompUSA Sports, publisher of the Easy Cut video editing software program. Easy Cut works for any sport and starts at just $195. Easy Cut, the affordable video editing software available at CompUSaSports.com. We're talking with Coach Manny Mastakis out here in Enka High School in Candler, North Carolina, while we're out here on the road. And we're going to talk Taster's Choice. Wait a minute, no. Not Taster's Choice. We're going to be talking
Close
choice
call.
route.
Choice routes, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this route combination, Coach.
Well, what it is, it's a 3x1. So let's say we're in trips to the right, and it is in the run and shoot where the quarterback is rolling or backing out to the left, to the single receiver side. From a protection standpoint, your super back is basically has the front side linebacker, and then he'll scan back and help in protection, depending on if there's 5 or 6, or if it's blitz or 7 in the box. Now, there's times where we'll take the super back and we'll check him out, swing him, throw him into the flats, depending on the game plan on what that linebacker looks like against the super back. Now, what we'll do is we come out, and the primary focus on this is to find the free safety where he is. And what we've got drawn up here, we have a free safety high over the top in the middle of the field. And it could be cover 3 or it could be man free. So right in center field, you're sitting there, and it depends on where he wants to line up. Is he between the uprights? Is he cheated over the ball? And that sort of gives away what the defense, where they want to determine the strength.
Let me just set up what we're looking at over here. If we've got the ball on the left hash mark, we've got trips to the right. Both of the slot receivers on the right are inside of the right hash. And the super back is shaded a little bit over to the left of center in a pass protection position, and your split end is about how far is he away from the tackle?
Well, what we do is we put him, if the ball's in the hash, we put him at the top of the numbers. So that's how we would set that up. So initially, as the quarterback is coming out to his left, the X receiver, which is the single receiver on the left, what we want him to do is widen his release to threaten the corner deep. Like, we want to beat him on a a fade route. We want to take him deep. But what happens is, after his 5th step, on his 7th step, he will make a trigger move on the corner. And if the corner is basically head up or outside of him, he'll stick him to the fade and then drive a post, nice and thin. All right. Now, if the corner is inside of him, then he'll stick him inside and then hit the fade. So it's basically post or fade is what he's doing, and he wants to do it on his 7th step. So he gets enough depth upfield and gets a good push on the corner. Now, quarterback comes out, and if he sees on the trigger move that all of a sudden his X receiver's open, the ball's gone. Ball's flying out of the air, one-on-one, you throw it. But the only time you throw that is if you have a true one-on-one between the X receiver and the corner. If that free safety, which we talked about at the beginning, is leaning over toward the hash, we abort and we flip our hips to the backside of choice. And that's the key, because pre-snap you can tell. And let's say they're in a cover 2 shell, 2 half-field safeties. Well, pre-snap you may be rolling to the single receiver, but you're not going to throw it. You're going to flip your hips and come backside, because what we have backside are 3 routes: a stretch, a go, and a control. Now the stretch is what you see in this case. We have drawn up what we call choice special, which means your Y and A receivers, the 2 inside guys, are exchanging responsibilities. So the number 3 receiver is coming up just inside the hash, and we give him a landmark. It's 7 yards upfield, 2 yards inside the hash. And he's shooting for that. We'll put a cone there. You're going for that spot, and you're going straight upfield, and you're reading the free safety over the top. If in this case it's nickel, free safety, center field, if he rolls toward the area that the quarterback went, if he would roll to your left, then we just go flying up inside the hash because the middle of the field's open. Right. Now, if the free safety is what we call perfect, meaning he is between the uprights, then at the point of no return, which for us is 14 yards in high school, in college I'll take it a little bit deeper, a little bit more in the pros. Then what we do is then we bring it flat across at 14 yards and settle in there. It looks like a dig route by some terms, and we're trying to find the passing lane to the quarterback. Now, if the quarterback is rolling left, and X is taken, he's covered, the choice route's covered, the first guy we look at is backside on the stretch. If the stretch is there, you throw it. See, so it's a read on the front side, you read the corner, and the backside is a look. It's stretch, then go, which is the outside route up the sideline, and you see I've got him sort of hooking up at 12 yards if the corner bails. Then we call that the sucker down at 12. And then if the go isn't there, then you come back down and you've got the control route, which his job is to be 5 yards upfield to control the linebacker depth. See, that's really what we're doing. And then we would dump it down to him. So it's basically throw the X to the choice. If it's not there, stretch, go, control. Bam, bam, bam. And everything's thrown on a rhythm, and it's quick, and you don't hold the ball very long as a quarterback on that.
One of the things that I like about this, I'm looking at both the slot receivers. You have up here on the board, you've got where they're really kind of crossing over each other.
Yeah.
They're trading off. You've got the inside receiver, the number 3 receiver, gaining width as he's taking off. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is he's trying to gain leverage inside.
That's right.
So that he can run that little 4 or 5 yard crossing route.
Mm-hmm.
He's just being a pain in the neck to the linebackers, which I thoroughly enjoy because I thoroughly enjoy being mean to defensive guys.
Oh, yeah.
But if anybody has heard this show over the years, you guys know that there's some defensive guys that have done me wrong over the years. They've done bad things to me, and I don't have to. Those of you never heard the show before, put gravel in my coffee and turning a fire hose on us.
There you go.
But it was hot. It was August. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't tell them that, but I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a number of different options built into this to where it looks like it's a number of different things, but you're just basically taking what the defense has given you.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think one of the neatest things, and this is a quick story from way back. All right, this is back in our heyday, in the my early running an offense at Hofstra. Okay, we're coming out, we're playing Fordham University in the Bronx, right? And it was a TV game, and the neat thing about this game was, after the game, it ended up being the longest game in the history of college football at the time. Since that, BYU and somebody broke it, but at that time it was. And our quarterback that day was 50 of 64, passing the ball.
Holy cow.
Yeah, for 585 yards.
He was in the whirlpool with his shoulder after that.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Yeah, and he had a great day. And I can remember afterwards, we're getting on the bus, headed back out to Long Island, and I see the defensive coordinator from Fordham. And he comes up to me, he's Manny. He goes, "How many plays do you have?" I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to answer that. Let's just see what I go, "Hey, look, we're not going to. I want to show you my scouting report." He pulls out a scouting report that's twice as thick as my playbook.
Holy smokes.
Well, because he thought every little route adjustment we made was another pass play.
Was a called play or a different tag, right?
And if you don't look at this thing, it's hard once a really good run and shoot team gets going. you don't know where they're going to go. I mean, it's not that predictable, but it is to them because they're used to. It's like playing a game of pickup basketball, and you know when you can make that pass around your back to that guy over there because you're in sync. A good run and shoot team is in sync, and we at that point, obviously, to throw for that kind of yardage and do that, we were in sync.
We're at Enka High School in Candler, North Carolina. Coach, can you stick around for another segment?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back right after this. Some of you folks are aware of OptionCentral.net. Some of you may even have had a membership to OptionCentral.net at one time. What many folks don't know is that Option Central has become the premier site for all things option football, with contributions from coaches from Massachusetts to California, from coaches like Jay DeCant, Larry Beckish, James Vitt, Charles Wilson, Johnny Annucci, and many others. Option Central is the place to learn many of the concepts that can help you with ideas for offensive success. And anyone who has heard this program for any length of time knows that I give defensive guys a hard time. But there are even a few articles that they can benefit from as well. There are even a few videos up there too. OptionCentral.net. I'm there, and you should be too.
This is the CompuSports Radio Network.
This segment of Coach's Corner is brought to you by Jerry Campbell Football. Check out Coach Campbell's book, Combining the 3-3-5 with the 4-2-5 Defensive Scheme, at www.jerrycampbellfootball.com. Here with Coach Manny Mastakis, I'm going to pose this question to Coach and get his ideas on this. But since we've already gone through this with this play, I think I already know what the answer is going to be. But, Coach, there's criticism about teams who utilize a lot of option routes in the passing games, and the argument is they don't look as crisp and as fresh as teams who don't use a lot of option routes. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, my thought is, as a coach, you've got to do what you can teach the best, what you really believe in. I think, you know what, there are teams out there that can run the single wing today, and by God, it works. And it works great because that guy is a student of it, he believes in it, and he imparts that knowledge on his players. To me, in what we do, you're right, we run a lot of option routes. The only time I've seen it ever backfire is when I try to do too much. Mike Leach and I are very similar in that perspective. It's like we do a few things, and we rep the heck out of it over and over and over, and our guys just get used to seeing it. And what's neat is after you get to about your second year of this, then the older guys are teaching the younger guys, and things go really quick, and it's like they only know that way. And I really believe once you get in sync, it's very similar to, here's the analogy. I was at Texas Tech, and I was fortunate enough to be able to watch Bobby Knight coach basketball. Okay, Bobby and I are both from Ohio. He invited me, came to my office and said, hey, look, we're Ohio ties, come on and watch practice. I'm going to watch him orchestrate a basketball practice. And he has something, I don't know basketball. I mean, I'm not a basketball coach. He has something he calls this motion offense. Well, when I'm watching him teach, and I'm like, oh, my God. That is the run and shoot on the basketball court. And I brought it up to him. I said, Coach, he goes, you know what's funny is Tiger Ellison, remember way back, well, he knew Tiger Ellison when he was at Ohio State. There was some tie there. And he goes, you know, you may have hit something the nail on the head. If he goes there, I go here. There's rules. Mm-hmm. And I don't know much about the motion offense, but I do know this. Watching Coach Knight coach it, it's like how I coach run and shoot football. Most people don't realize that, but I think if you have a system and you get high repetition at it, I'd be pretty scared for anybody you're playing because you're going to be pretty good at it.
Coach, it's been great to come out here to Enka and talk football with you, and I've just had a great time out here.
Well, I've enjoyed it too. It's been a lot of fun, and shoot, you got good people involved with you. And Jerry Campbell, I need to get his book. A little bit of defense. I should give him a call. I think we don't have problems scoring. We got to just keep.
Give you his website. I got it written down right here.
What is it? He's one of the best in the business. I think that's great, and I thank you for coming out here, and look forward. Maybe you can come to one of our games this year.
Absolutely, I'll take you up on that.
Okay. I'll put you on the sidelines, let you call play.
Well, now we're in trouble. I may want to run a power sweep. You never know about me.
That's okay.
Thank you once again, Coach. For the rest of you, some final thoughts after this. A big thank you to Coach Manny Mastakis for allowing us graciously to come out and record the show out there at Enka High School. He was a great guest, and we had a great time out there. And maybe sometime here in the future we'll be able to go out there again.
Next on Coach's Corner.
Next week we'll be talking defense and building your program around your defense here on Coach's Corner. Coach's Corner is an Abundant Harvest production here on the CompuSports Radio Network. I'm John Anderson, and what they used to say, be there, be square. See you next time. I think I got that right.